Ever catch yourself scrolling through those end-of-the-world articles online? Yeah, you know the ones.
Oh, absolutely. Those rabbit holes are dangerously fascinating.
Right. Well, today we're diving deep into that with, well, the ultimate end-of-the-world tier list.
Catchy, right. And morbid curiosity aside, it's a pretty interesting way to think about global threats. They've organized it all.
Into a tier list.
Exactly.
And it's not just your average ranking system. We're talking the full internet treatment, CBASS, and then it gets really interesting.
Broken tier.
Oh, yeah, and we can't forget about
Beyond broken tier.
It's a wild ride from, okay, that's a little too real to, wait, what?
We're basically dissecting those doomsday anxieties and figuring out what's worth worrying about and what's, well, maybe best left for the big screen.
Exactly. So let's start with the doom and gloom, shall we?
Yeah.
C tier. The depressingly realistic ones. We're talking climate change, global pandemics,
That's classic.
and of course the ever-looming threat of nuclear war.
And unfortunately, these aren't just abstract threats, are they? We're seeing the early stages of climate change play out right now.
Sadly, yeah.
Rising sea levels, those crazy heat waves, extreme weather events that seem to be happening more and more often. It's our present, not some distant dystopian future.
It's unsettlingly real. And speaking of things that hit a little too close to home,
Yeah.
pandemics. Everyone remembers the COVID lockdowns.
Right, and the article actually points out that as rough as those were, it could have been much, much worse.
Oh, don't even joke about that.
Yeah. Imagine a virus with a higher mortality rate than COVID, spreading even faster, completely overwhelming our healthcare systems.
Okay, let's not give the universe any ideas. So we've got climate change, pandemics. What was the last one in C tier?
Nuclear war.
Right, of course.
We might be relieved the Cold War is over, but those tensions haven't completely disappeared, have they?
Not even a little bit.
And the article doesn't sugarcoat it. They lay out the horrifying reality of a full-scale nuclear war, immediate devastation on a scale that's hard to even comprehend, and then...
Nuclear winter.
Exactly. A prolonged period of global famine and societal collapse. Basically, dust and debris blocking out the sun, throwing the entire planet into chaos. Chilling stuff.
Okay, I officially need a drink. But on to slightly, hopefully less depressing things. Moving on to B tier. The article lists global economic collapse, an AI uprising, and the silent but deadly rise of antibiotic resistance. Less immediate, maybe, but still pretty terrifying.
Absolutely. It's easy to think of an economic collapse as just, financial hardship. But the article highlights how interconnected everything is. Our entire modern world depends on a functioning global economy.
Right. It's easy to forget that sometimes.
Imagine widespread chaos, food shortages, a complete breakdown of law and order. It's not just about losing your savings, it's about society as we know it, grinding to a halt.
Okay, that's terrifyingly plausible. What's next on our apocalyptic bingo card?
Next up, the AI uprising.
All right, I'll admit, I love a good sci-fi thriller as much as the next person, but AI taking over in real life, that's the stuff of nightmares.
Right. It's easy to dismiss it as pure fiction, but as AI advances, the article argues we have to at least consider the risks.
It makes you think, that's for sure.
And it wouldn't even have to be a deliberate Terminator-style takeover.
Yeah.
A catastrophic accident caused by an AI misinterpreting its programming could be just as bad.
So it's not just about robots with laser beams.
Not exactly.
It's something potentially much more complex.
And honestly, much scarier because of it. We're talking about a potential loss of control over systems that are increasingly running our world.
Okay, on that cheery note, let's talk about the last threat in B tier. Antibiotic resistance. I feel like this one doesn't get as much attention, but it's just as important.
You're absolutely right. The article calls it a silent killer. And it's not some far-off threat. It's happening right now.
Yeah.
Overuse of antibiotics is making them less effective.
And we're already seeing those consequences.
Exactly. If we don't develop new strategies to combat this, we're facing a future where something as simple as a cut could potentially turn deadly.
It's like we're slowly disarming ourselves against some of the deadliest threats out there.
All right, so are you ready to move further up the apocalypse tier list?
Honestly, after that last batch of cheerful topics, I'm not sure anything could be worse. What could be scarier than the total collapse of society or, killer AI?
Well, that's where you'd be wrong. Things are about to get a whole lot more cinematic.
Cinematic.
Yeah.
What does that even mean in terms of the apocalypse?
Think big, explosive Michael Bay levels of disaster. We're talking about A tier, natural disasters from hell.
Oh boy, here we go. So, what kind of fun has Mother Nature cooked up for us in this category?
A tier is all about those catastrophic events that, while thankfully rare, have the power to, well, reshape our planet in an instant.
Reshape. You're being awfully calm about this.
Well, someone has to be, right? So we're talking supervolcanoes, asteroids, and those lovely solar storms that always seem to pop up in disaster movies.
Okay, you're right. That's definitely more Hollywood blockbuster than depressing reality, though not exactly comforting either.
Fair point. But it's important to understand these threats, even the ones that seem like they're straight out of a Roland Emmerich film.
Okay, I'm with you. So let's start with supervolcanoes. What exactly are we talking about here?
Well, the article uses the Yellowstone caldera as a prime example, and rightfully so. That thing's like a ticking time bomb of epic proportions if that were to erupt.
Okay, I'm picturing something a little more intense than Old Faithful here.
Just a tad. We're talking regional devastation on a scale that's just hard to comprehend. Imagine pyroclastic flows, earthquakes, ash burying entire states. It'd be like something out of Dante's Inferno.
And then there's the whole volcanic winter thing, right? I always thought that was more of a fictional doomsday scenario.
Oh, it's a real possibility, and it's every bit as terrifying as it sounds. Basically, a massive eruption like that would spew ash and volcanic gases into the atmosphere.
Blocking out the sun.
Exactly. Temperatures plummet worldwide, crops fail, ecosystems collapse. We'd be plunged into a volcanic winter that could last for years. And remember that year without a summer back in 1816?
Vaguely. It's ringing a bell from, middle school history class or something.
Well, that was caused by a volcanic eruption. Just a taste of what a full-blown volcanic winter could look like. Not exactly a picnic, is it?
Okay, you win. Definitely not on my list of ideal vacation destinations. But hey, at least we'd be too busy trying to survive to worry about, paying rent.
Silver linings.
Exactly. So we've got supervolcanoes throwing temper tantrums and plunging the world into darkness. What's next on our apocalyptic greatest hits list?
Next up, those giant space rocks that the dinosaurs clearly didn't see coming asteroids.
Okay, but seriously, what are the chances of an asteroid actually hitting Earth? I mean, we have, scientists and telescopes and stuff now, right?
That's true, but it's a numbers game, isn't it? And the odds are never zero. The article actually brings up a good point.
Which is,
even with our early warning systems, a large enough asteroid could still slip through undetected. And if that happens...
let's not even go there.
Right. Let's just say it wouldn't be pretty. Tsunamis that make the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami look like a ripple in a bathtub. Shock waves circling the globe, triggering earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. And of course, the inevitable impact winter as dust and debris choke the atmosphere.
So basically, all the fun of a volcanic winter, but with a side of impact craters and mass extinction events.
More or less. And it's not just the immediate impact. We're talking long-term effects on the climate, the environment.
Basically not great. Okay, so we've got supervolcanoes, we've got asteroids. Anything else Mother Nature might throw at us?
One more on the list for Aher.
Hit me with it.
Solar storms.
Okay, I'll admit, that one always seemed a little less tangible to me. What exactly is a solar storm? And why should I be worried about it? It's not like the sun's gonna, explode or anything, right?
Yeah, exactly. Though, fun fact, the sun will eventually die out. But that's billions of years from now.
Small comfort while we're talking about the apocalypse.
Right, sorry. Back to solar storms. Think of it this way. The sun might look calm and steady, but it's a lot more volatile than you might think.
Oh, I believe it. I get sunburned, just walk into the mailbox.
It periodically releases these bursts of energy called solar flares and coronal mass ejections. And those bursts are basically a torrent of charged particles.
And those particles?
Can mess with Earth's magnetic field in a big way.
Okay, so I'm picturing something like the Northern Lights, but on a much larger and more destructive scale.
You're on the right track. While solar storms can create those beautiful auroras, they can also fry electronics. And in our hyper-connected, tech-dependent world, that's a recipe for disaster.
Wait, are you saying a solar storm could wipe out the internet? I just upgraded my Wi-Fi plan.
And that's just the beginning. We're talking power grids going dark, satellites falling out of the sky, communication systems collapsing.
Okay, so it's basically the plot of every post-apocalyptic movie ever made.
It'd be like being thrown back into the pre-industrial age, but with, billions more people to feed.
All right, so we're back for more apocalyptic adventures.
The fun never ends, does it?
Not this timeline, that's for sure. But seriously, after that last round of supervolcanoes and planet-killing asteroids, I'm not sure I have any fingernails left to bite.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but we're not done yet. Remember how we talked about those upper tiers? The ones that are less about plausible threats and more about, Well, the truly bizarre.
Oh, yeah, those. The ones that make you question if you accidentally wandered into a philosophy lecture after a few too many espressos.
Exactly. So buckle up, because we're diving headfirst into S tier, where reality takes a backseat to some seriously wild speculation.
Lay it on me. I've made it this far, haven't I?
That you have. So S tier kicks things off with, and I'm not making this up, accidental universe destruction.
Accidental, as in, oops, my bad, I broke reality.
Pretty much. Like those fears about the Large Hadron Collider creating a black hole that swallows the Earth.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Though last I checked, the planet was still intact.
So far, so good. But in this scenario, those fears actually come true. Some physics experiment gone horribly wrong, and poof, no more universe. Though, in fairness, most scientists say the odds of that actually happening are astronomically small.
Okay, good to know. So we've got accidental universe dilution. What else is on the menu?
Well, we have a classic hostile alien invasion. They found us, they're not here for peace talks, and their technology makes our nukes look like firecrackers.
You know, you'd think with all our advanced technology, we'd have moved past the whole aliens are going to get us thing.
And yet here we are. I guess some fears are just hardwired into our DNA.
Okay, what else we got? Give me another S-tier apocalypse.
All right, how about nanotech gray goo? It's exactly what it sounds like.
Oh no, that doesn't sound good.
Microscopic, self-replicating machines, they get out of control and just start devouring everything on Earth.
Everything, like even the cockroaches.
Especially the cockroaches. We're talking turning the entire planet into a giant blob of, well, nanobots.
Okay, see, that's just unsettling on a primal level, like something out of a nightmare you'd have after eating too much cheese before bed.
And it gets worse. Are you ready for S tier? Where even the laws of physics say, yeah, we're out.
Do we have to? I mean, it can't get weirder than self-replicating nanobots and hostile aliens, right?
Oh, my sweet summer child. This is where we get truly meta, truly philosophical. S tier throws out the rule book and dives headfirst into the truly bizarre.
All right, hit me. I'm ready for my mind to be officially blown.
How about this simulation shutdown? You know, the idea that we're all just living in a giant computer simulation.
Like we're all NPCs in some cosmic video game.
And one day someone just flips the switch. Game over.
I knew I should have bought that lifetime subscription. All right, what else? Because I feel like it's going to get a whole lot weirder.
Oh, it does. How about quantum reality collapse?
I'm not even sure what that means, but it sounds bad.
Imagine the universe just kind of unraveling for no reason. The very fabric of reality just disintegrates.
Okay, see, now I'm starting to miss the killer robots and the planet-eating nanobots. At least those made sense.
And last but not least, in our S tier of existential dread, we have universal expansion reversal.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one to me.
You know how the universe is constantly expanding?
Yeah, vaguely. I'm pretty sure I learned that in high school science. But to be honest, I was probably too busy passing notes and trying to figure out how to talk to my crush.
Fair enough. Well, what if that expansion suddenly reversed? Instead of getting bigger, the universe starts collapsing in on itself, everything getting smaller, hotter, until it all gets crunched back down into a single point, the Big Crunch.
So the opposite of the Big Bang. We start with a bang, we end with a crunch. Catchy.
You gotta admit, it's a pretty good visual, though the article calls it ouch, which about covers it.
Yeah, I'd say ouch is an appropriate reaction to, the universe collapsing in on itself.
Exactly. And just when you thought we'd reached peak weirdness.
There's more. Please tell me there are. Like levels beyond S.
Oh, there are. But they're almost impossible to describe. We're talking about concepts that break our understanding of physics, reality, even time itself. The broken tier and beyond broken tier.
All right, hit me. Let's finish this. What could possibly be weirder than, the universe just deciding to unexist?
How about the idea that reality as we know it never actually existed?
Okay, my brain just blue screen.
Or that time itself is just an illusion. Or that we're all just like figments of someone else's imagination.
I officially need a drink. And possibly a hug.
Great. I told you it gets weird up here.
Weird doesn't even begin to cover it. So, what have we learned today? Besides the fact that I'm never sleeping again, I mean.
Well, besides the fact that the universe is a very strange and wonderful place with a seemingly endless capacity for both beauty and chaos.
Sure, let's go with that.
I think the takeaway is that it's good to be informed, right? To understand the risks, both the plausible and the, well, outlandish.
Yeah, but maybe not right before bed.
Definitely not right before bed. But hey, on that note of existential dread and the fleeting nature of existence, we're out of time.
Yeah, we are. But hey, at least we're still here for now. Thanks for tuning into our deep dive into the end of the world. And remember, what's scarier than the apocalypse? Running out of coffee. Stay caffeinated, everyone.